Hey guys, it's takasta here again. Welcome to another video review. So today I'll be reviewing the Logitech G700s laser wireless gaming mouse. So this is part of the new line of gaming mouse, obviously the G100s, 400s, 500s, and 700s. I feel like I'm going to be repeating this line for about 3 reviews, so bear with me here. So the G700s obviously is part of the new refreshes from Logitech of their own line of mice, the G100, 400, 500, and 700. So the G700 has always been the flagship for Logitech for their wireless gaming series. In terms of its comfort, it's very extremely ergonomic, and it's a great shape. I mean, for wireless gaming, most people wouldn't recommend wireless gaming, but for those casual gamers who like using a G700 or just like using casual wireless gaming, this is definitely one of the better mice to go to. I guess within its direct competition is really like the Razer Mamba, for example, and in my opinion, it's better build quality and definitely stacks up to it. Okay, so in terms of its price, it is quite pricey in terms of mice in general. It is $99, so that's like 770 Hong Kong. I got mine for 720 Hong Kong, so slightly cheaper, like $89, but still fairly expensive. So for people who are looking for gaming, like competitive gaming, usually I would not recommend wireless mice. However, if you need a wireless option, this is definitely a good mice to go for. First off, with some weights, dimensions, and some specs. It's a fairly fat mouse, even though it's not that long. So it's fat and long, so like a little short fatty in that sense. It's 80 centimeters wide, so you can see at the widest part of the base. 120 centimeters long, so not extremely long, and 45 centimeters tall, so fairly tall in that sense. So if you can tell, like from the mouse itself, it's quite a nice curvature. I'm sure for people who've used the G700, you know this shape very, very well. I like, well, the one thing I have to point out with the G700 though, it being ergonomic, and also the left-hand side, the thumb part, it does have a very big indentation for you to put your thumb. So you can really grip the thumb, you can really grip the mice claw grip, or palm grip, or fingertip grip, like whatever you want. So it's quite flexible in that sense. So I've never really owned a G700, I've used it before, but however, I've been using this mouse for the past 3-4 days, and definitely it's just very, very comfortable. I can switch from claw grip to when I'm gaming, or just when I'm more like comfortable surfing the web, I can just do like a palm grip. So that's just one note of the G700, which I may not have experienced before. So in terms of its weight, it's like 152 grams. Like I said, it's a very heavy mouse. Obviously, it's wireless, and you have to put a battery inside, so which adds to the weight. It's one of the heavier mice on the market, so you can't really avoid this. So for people who like heavier mice, this would be an option, I guess. However, for me, I use like lighter mice, like the SteelSeries Akari Laser, optical, the laser, the death, like just so many mice. I can't even like name them all. So it's a fairly heavy mice in that regard. In terms of its build quality, basically the normal refresh on this mouse, I mean the refresh of this mouse compared to the older G700, basically it's 1, the sensor, 2, the coating. In terms of its coating, like I said in my G400s video, it's they play the same theme, I guess. However, it's still fairly slippery. So I can't remember the older G700 felt quite a little bit more grippier, although the feeling was much more matte in that sense. But this one, it's much smoother, not glossy, but much smoother. If you can feel it here, like if you can tell how smooth the surface is. So in terms of sweat resistance, my hands are slightly sweaty, but I find this to be okay. It's not exactly, it doesn't get slipped off. And in terms of its grip, I really like the, I guess, matte finish. There's a lot of granite, it's not even a word, gradient? No, I don't even know the word, but basically there's a lot of little dents and bumps which are sweat resistant, so I do enjoy that quite a lot in terms of its coating. So overall, the build quality is just very, very good, a very high quality, what you would expect from a Logitech mouse, because they do spend a lot of money on quality control, so that's the least that you can expect. So in terms of its cord, well, obviously this is a wireless mouse, but you can use it wired. So for example, if sorry, give me a sec here. It does come with the wire, so if you need to charge the mouse, you can just plug it in and charge it, and it'll just go on and you can charge it for like an hour, 2 hours until it charges the full battery, and then you can use it wireless again. So that's just very convenient for, again, like I said, this is for casual gamers. So for competitive gamers, you don't want this the unreliability of a wireless mouse. You might not want to do that. However, this does give you the option. In terms of battery life, it had a big problem with battery. Before, people said like charging, you can only play games for like 4 hours, 5 hours. However, like interestingly, I plugged it in the first charge, and I've been using it for the past 3 days, and I still have not had to charge the mouse or charge the battery. So amazingly, it seems like you can use it for long. The battery life is longer, as somehow it uses less battery. It has a lower battery usage compared to, it has a lower battery usage compared to the older G700. However, that's definitely a good thing. From some of the other reviews I've seen with other people, they said it lasts for like 18 hours with gaming and some daily usage. So definitely is nothing you need to fret about. So even if all you have to do is just keep a battery charge or just plug in the mouse, and you'll be completely okay. So great improvement, I think, over there. Alright, moving on to the sensor. So for the sensor, it uses the S9808 Avogo laser sensor. So this is an improvement over the older S9500. So the S9808 is actually a specialized sensor that Avogo has made for Logitech. They employed this sensor in both the G700s, the G500s, and previously in the G600 as well. And do I think this sensor is better? Well, if you can check out these speed tests, it has increased the DPI to 8,200 DPI, but honestly, 8,200 DPI is way too much for anyone to use. You lose a lot of control. It's not even about like jitter, because in fact at 8,200 DPI, the jitter is actually not too bad. Like surprisingly, even at 500 hertz polling rate or 1,000 hertz polling rate, it's actually quite good. However, just 8,200 DPI is too much. However, I did test the mouse at 4,000 DPI or 5,000 DPI, I can't remember, and the lower DPI settings, and it tracks like absolutely awesome. Even for these tests were all done on a SteelSeries 5L, so it's like a semi-cloth/hard mat. However, it just tracks very, very well, and all tracking was done on wireless settings, so without the wire. So you can tell that for a wireless option, for the mouse to be able to track this well, it's very, very impressive. In terms of its maximum speed test, actually, these mice are rated at 4.19 meters per second on the box. So I tested it out, and I guess it does stick to its word. It does track at like 3 to 4 meters per second. So very, very good tracking, very high for you to really get to malfunction, I guess. Like I said, in terms of its jitter, no jitter problems, if you can see from or very, very little jitter problems. Even at 8,200 DPI and 1,000 hertz, there's very little jitter, like almost unnoticeable. And this is a very nice, just a great sensor, great laser sensor if you're into laser sensors. In terms of its tracking, it's absolutely awesome. Moving on to angle snapping or prediction. This mouse does not have angle snapping, and you cannot change the mouse to turn it on or turn it off. However, in the G500s, using the same sensor, you can turn the angle snapping on. So this is just something on the mouse. In terms of acceleration, a lot of people have complained in the old G500, old G700, using the S9500 sensor. It did have 5% acceleration, like positive acceleration. People didn't really like that. However, interestingly, I tested this new sensor out, this S9808. It does, like, I don't know if the 9800 has positive acceleration, because I've never used a mouse with the 9800 sensor. However, this new Logitech sensor, I can't tell if it has acceleration or not. It almost has little to nil acceleration. I mean, if someone can do another test to prove me wrong, by all means go ahead, but I cannot test for any acceleration on this mouse. So I'll show you tests of the G500s as well, but I guess this is a very, very good thing. Maybe it's a fix, I'm not quite sure, but I could not test acceleration on the G700s. So that's just my opinion, or my test, sorry. For the liftoff distance, just very, very straightforward. Again, 2 millimeters, I think it's like 2.2, 2.3 millimeters. So you can really just add mouse feet on or off to change the liftoff distance. Nothing too much about that. Alright, moving on to the buttons and the scroll wheel. So the scroll wheel, compared to the G400, G400s, it's quite heavy. It takes a bit, but it's very, very precise. Like every indentation, it makes a note audible click, like a very big click. So you can check out my scroll wheel test too for more information or just to get some more detail on this. But it has like a very, very big indentation, very, very big click, but it's very, very slow. So it moves kind of like a slug. Like however, like it goes down, it makes a click, goes down, makes a click, goes down, makes a click. So it's very heavy duty. Like it feels like a tank almost, but however, it's not very hard to scroll, if that makes sense. So it's easy to scroll, but every single time it makes indent is very, very hard. That's a really bad explanation. But anyway, so in terms of its switches is it switches. Yes, it switches. It uses Omron switches again, rated at 20 million clicks. So definitely high quality, high grade. So you're not gonna wear these out anytime soon. In terms of its click, it's quite nice. It's not exactly hard, but the chassis does make it slightly harder than the G400, even though it does use the same switch. And obviously, for different mice, for different chassis, it makes the click harder or softer. So this is something you must pay attention to. Alright, now moving on to the software. I think this is also, again, part of the new Logitech software suite, the gaming software suite. And for the G700s, it is a nice addition. It's very, very nice presented. You can change, there is onboard memory, obviously. You can change 5 DPI settings from 200 all the way to 8200, all in 50 DPI increments. So, and you can change it using 5 profile settings. So you can just press a button and you can just scroll through the 5 profile settings. Obviously, there's on-the-fly DPI switching, if you can use these buttons over here. And you can really just program every single button to do something to your imagination, like whatever you want. So the software is very, very nice. You just press in, and it has all the options that you would expect from like any gaming software. So I don't have to really go over that again or elaborate too much. I just want to say that software is a very nice presentation. And for the G700s, with so many buttons, you can really do a lot with it. So if you're playing WoW, you want to macro like a lot of crap on it onto one button, this is definitely the mouse to do it on. And it's very, very comfortable as well. Because just to mention, I guess the side button as well, the more buttons. Sometimes with like the G600S with all the side buttons is not very comfortable, but with this G700, even with like 4 buttons, you can still locate every single button very at ease in that sense. So I do like that about the G700S. I've always liked that about the G700 chassis and the G700 shape. So just very nicely done with the software. Overall, conclusions, is it an upgrade over the G700? It's a nice refresh. And new sensor is somewhat nice as well. Like I guess they removed the acceleration. I'm not too sure about that, but I cannot detect it, so I think the sensor is good. In terms of its shape, obviously it's the same as G700, and overall, in terms of its buttons, or it's just the overall feel, the new chassis and the new, I guess, grip, it's alright. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. For the price point at $99, is it worth it? I mean, if you need a long-term investment, I would definitely recommend it. However, if you're really strapped for cash and you need something cheaper, I would recommend the G400S or the Kinzu V2 even. However, a lot of people don't really like that mouse. I'm the fucking fanboy of SteelSeries, but anyway, so it's still very decent mouse, very solid, good quality, build quality, censored mouse. That was a really long review. Hope you guys weren't bored by that. But overall, it's quite a good addition, quite a good release, or re-release, I guess, of the mouse. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for watching this review. If you like that, subscribe and stay tuned for my 3rd episode, the G500S review. All right, thanks, guys.